Misfits, and welcome! In today's video, we are talking all about how to handle character death in TTRPGs like Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder. It is always a huge deal when you lose a character in the game, and the fact that you can lose your character is what sets these games apart from other types of games. If you're playing a video game and you die, normally you just restart, but that is not the case in Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder. When your character is gone, most of the time, they are gone and you have to create a new one before you can continue on at the table. But losing your character is a big deal, and it can be absolutely gut-wrenching for the player, the DM, and everybody else that's there. So let's talk about ways to handle that happening at your table in a way that really sort of helps everybody out and kind of gives everybody the closure they need to continue. And a few things up front. Number one, these are my thoughts and opinions based on my own experiences and feelings. So, what works for me might not work for you. Every table, every game master is different. That's part of the beauty of the game. So take from this what you enjoy and what you like and just ignore the rest. And of course, number two, I like a story-driven game. That's my style of play. And so a lot of what I'm going to talk about here is probably going to be more geared to a story-driven story or campaign. So just bear that in mind. Before we go any further, I do want to take a moment to tell you about Into the AM. Into the AM is a men's apparel brand that values creativity and self-expression. I've talked about them a few times on the channel, but today I'm here to tell you that some of their most beloved products are back. The wait is finally over. These beloved graphic tees, vintage tees, and button-up are back in stock, so be sure to go check them out, and don't wait too long because some of these designs will be gone before you know it. And of course, don't forget that you can use the code Misfit at checkout to enjoy 10% off your purchase. So use that code or click my link in the description below. These are easily some of the most comfortable t-shirts I own, and I own quite a lot of t-shirts. There's just something about them that's just sort of elevated from your regular t-shirt. The designs are all really, really cool and intricate and interesting, and I just love wearing them. And don't let the fact that it's a men's apparel brand dissuade you if you're a lady, because we can all enjoy a good, comfortable t-shirt. So these are definitely products that are for everybody. So go check them out, and don't forget to use my code Misfit at checkout to get 10% off your purchase. Alright, so dealing with character death in a game. So first things first, I think it's really important to be a bit transparent with your players, be honest, and make them aware of the reality of the situation and the risks involved. I'm talking before a character has even died. Are they aware that they're about to enter a scenario in which somebody could die? Or, if they just get downed by an enemy, are they aware that that might be it? They might be about to lose their death saves and just be gone? Just find a way to let them know of the risk. Players don't often like to be blindsided, but sometimes in this game it is unavoidable, because a big part of this game is twists and surprises, so sometimes we can't always fully prepare our players for what's going to happen, but if we are able to do so, please do. Make them aware of the dangers, make them understand that the next death saves could be their last. Make sure they know just how risky a situation is, if you're able to communicate that. I think that's really, really important, and I think that will help them sort of mentally prepare for what is to come. A real-world example, there were situations in which my players experienced some of their characters getting downed, and I made it known that they were up against enemies that were not interested in taking prisoners and were not interested in, just downing the characters and running away and then having to fight them another day in the future. They wanted to get rid of them. So these enemies started attacking their characters even though they were already downed. I made that really, really clear, and so once they started to lose death saves or get hit critically and lose 2 death saves at a time, they became very quickly aware that the situation was quite deadly and they were going to have to think really fast to prioritize upping each other and saving each other so that they could live to fight another day. Number 2, give players a chance to express their character's final thoughts and final words. This is something that I haven't always done, and I really, really kick myself over that sometimes, but I think it's really important when a character dies to have a moment to let them say something, one last thing, and if they're not in a position to speak, then let them express what they're thinking and their final moments. I think that's really, really crucial. It's something that I've seen Matt Mercer do at his own table, and it's something I have tried to implement, though not always successfully. But letting a player express their character's final thoughts or have a last word allows them to have that last moment of agency over their character and how they go out. They have a chance to share what their character is thinking. They have a chance to kind of say goodbye and get a little bit of closure there that they wouldn't get to otherwise. This is also a chance for that player to deliver a total gut punch to you, the GM, or the rest of the table. And they'll do that. They might think of something totally tragic and then you're like, great, now I'm gonna just feel so awful and guilty for the rest of my life. Thank you for that. Number 3, give the rest of the party a chance to grieve. While it's always tough on the player that lost their character, it's also really tough on the rest of the party. That character might have been crucial for their party makeup. That character might have been the heart of the party. There was just something about them that just really helped everything click and come together, and now they're missing that piece. Give the other characters a chance to grieve them. Have moments where you let them say words in honor of that character that was lost, or at the very least, ask them what their characters might be thinking now that that character is gone and how that is affecting them, or how you think that will impact those characters' decisions moving forward. Again, this is giving closure to the people at the table, and it's also really providing a lot of meaning to that character's death and making it feel as significant as it should be. Number 4, get that player back in the game as soon as you possibly can. I understand that this isn't always totally possible, especially when you are in a story-driven campaign. That can be really, really difficult. Some of you might be aware of how Critical Role does things, where literally Matt will take his time introducing the new character, and they could go sessions without that player getting to join in the game. Though I understand why he does that, and I see like the story importance of that, I don't like that because we all just want to play the game. So I always try to get that player back in the game as soon as possible, and you can do this by either 1, they have their backup character ready and you just are ready to on the fly throw them back in the story. 2, you could hand them an NPC stat block and let them just sort of pilot that character for the remainder of the session, and then you introduce their new character in the next session. Or 3, you could hand them some of the monster stats if they're in the middle of combat, and they can at least run some of those monsters and get to play a little bit despite their character being out of the game. In my first campaign, I had a character approach me and ask if I could kill their character so that they could introduce a new character. And I said, absolutely 100%. All I need you to do is walk over to the next door you see and open it. And they did, and there was a huge explosion and their character was dead. It was crazy. And then within that same session, I introduced their new character. I think they were out of the game for like 5 minutes, maybe 10. And honestly, seeing the expressions on everybody else's faces when I got to that moment where I was like, oh, and would you like to introduce your new character? They lost their minds. They were surprised that I introduced that character so soon, but we were able to immediately get back into the game and continue playing all together. Number 5, have that character's death really have either lasting consequences or kind of foster and create a legacy that lives on. This is tough to do, and I would sort of consider this step a bit more optional, but if you were able to pull it off, it really gives that death meaning, and it really creates these lasting impacts on the party and your world that your campaign is set in. This could be done in a number of ways. Depending on how the character died and what was going on, they could then be viewed as like a martyr for the local town. They saw their sacrifice and it meant a lot to them, and they are remembered for it. Maybe a statue is erected in their honor, or a sort of a new saying or something gets passed around that has significance to that character and what they did. That could be something that could happen that sort of creates this legacy. You could have the villain use this death, depending on how it happened and who caused it, as a means of taunting the party. And then this incident, this horrible event, looms over the party for the rest of the campaign and really just kind of drives them to avenge their friend and stop this evil that they're facing. Or you could have this character's death help unite the group towards a common enemy. Maybe they didn't have a big bad before, but maybe they have one now. There is definitely a game I have in mind where a character died and it led to the party really just sort of rallying together to go track down the person that killed them and avenge their friend. And that's really, really cool. And that's an example of these sort of lasting consequences, these sort of ripple effects from this event that happened. It can be kind of like sad or bum you out when your character dies, but the potential story-wise is just unmatched. The drama that it creates, the sort of like heartstrings that it can tug on is so great. It's a crucial part of the game. We don't ever want our character to die, but if they die in a way that feels honored, where you got your last words, you saw the impact it had on the party and the world, then it's something that's memorable, and it's something that's not necessarily going to make you sad, but it's going to make you proud, and that's cool. Well, this is all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you like this channel and you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. That stuff legitimately really helps me out. But what is far more important is leaving a comment down below. Talk to me about character deaths that you experienced in your own games. Talk to me about potential future video ideas, topics you want me to cover, things you want me to talk about. All of that stuff really would be super helpful, and the engagement on the video is what helps other people see it and helps other people find this channel to begin with. But with all of that said and done, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, and I will see you again next time. Can you hear how just like absolutely stopped up I am? Oh, goodness, I cannot catch a break, I'm telling you. And it doesn't help. Well, I know exactly why I got sick. I just completed the first week of having my students back in the classroom. And every time that happens, they bring all of their germs. And you would think as a teacher, you have a better immune system. And I normally have a very strong immune system, but I guess it just wasn't enough this year because I got sick, which is not fun. But some things that are fun is the bookshelf has returned, and there's all sorts of good stuff on here. Eventually, I will probably show you more details about what's back there so you can get a closer look. But yeah, this room is finally starting to come together. There's still artwork that's not on the wall, but I will get to it eventually. We're just getting there bit by bit, little bit by bit. And I also just really wanted to say thank you to anybody that said anything nice and encouraging a couple of weeks ago. You know the crap that I've been dealing with and just how difficult and hard that has been. So, you know, hearing such nice things from you guys when I was feeling just so down really meant so much to me. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Thank you. But that's all I got. So I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.